Alana Banks, the other day I made a post that ruffled some feathers on social media. And the post actually was a story on Instagram, was about how the thing that's holding most entrepreneurs, especially coaches, back on social media is the same thing that's holding most people back in most places. And that is their own attitude and beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very much so.
feathers ruffled.
Well, I guess the feathers are ruffled because you kind of touched on a sore point because people don't ever want to think that they're the ones that are standing in the way of their success, right?
Although, I mean, our listeners are coaches, so maybe they are more understanding of
Maybe.
this.
Yeah. Well, understanding, but then it's almost kind of like, you know, you feel like you've done the work to get over the thing and then you realize, oh, maybe I haven't. There's more to be done.
Ooh, yeah. And then your social media coach is like, go get coaching and hypnosis for your limiting beliefs. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
what? Me? Yeah. Today we're going to talk about the top 15. I don't know if we're going to have time to get to all of them. The top 15 limiting beliefs that coaches have specifically about social media that can and will prevent them from reaching the levels of success at the speed that they want if they're not resolved. Now, of course, not all of these will apply to everybody, but a lot
Mhm.
of these will apply to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Let's just get into it.
Yeah. Let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
It's a really good list.
This is a really good,
Yeah. Really good.
vetted by both of us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like this list so much that separate from the podcast, I'm going to do a training for the members of my social media membership going through specifically these
I like that.
beliefs. Yeah.
Nice.
Don't try to stop me. I'm going to do it.
Okay. Not stopping you.
Don't stand in my way, Banks. All right. Number one.
Number one.
Number one. Numero uno is I'm too old to understand social media. Some people have this belief. I'm too old to understand social media. And remember, limiting beliefs could be beliefs that you have that you're consciously aware of or that you don't realize are kind of running in the background. And either way, they're going to inhibit your ability to be successful. And
Mhm.
sometimes the way these manifest is that social media just, feels painful to use. And maybe you don't fully understand why. And it could be that one or more of these limiting beliefs are running under the surface. So,
Yeah.
if you feel a little sting or you feel some kind of internal response when you hear these limiting beliefs, or you're like, but that's true, the part of you is like, but that's true. Then that's good evidence that you might have these beliefs and you need to get it cleaned up.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one, as I said, is I'm too old for social media, and I think the other benefit of just listening to this episode is that we're demystifying these limiting beliefs and telling you that none of these things are true that we're going to
Yeah.
go through. These are myths as much as they are limiting beliefs.
100%.
Nobody's too old for social media. Some of the best users of social media are people who are in, I don't know what you would call it, their senior years, whatever
Yeah.
the term is. Older folks, I don't know. But there's people who are very young who are not very effective on social media, and there's people who are very old or old. These are relative terms, of course, who are very effective on social media. I would say your willingness to learn is a much, 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 much more important predictor of whether you'll be successful on social media or not.
Yeah. Your willingness to learn. And also, if you have this belief that you're too old for social media, maybe it's the people that you're watching too. Like maybe for you, social media is synonymous with like, your kids or your grandchildren or something like that. But there's a lot of seniors on Instagram, for example. We can use that. So why don't you surround yourself or start following older people so that, like you can almost like demystify it yourself.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, I think, a cool strategy that you could do. Like stop following all the young people and look at, people that are around your age who are rocking it.
Yeah. And I mean, social media, learning to be effective on social media is no different than learning anything else.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to, ride a motorcycle and you've never done it your whole life and you're now in your 70s or 80s, you can do that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably easier to learn social media than to learn to ride a motorcycle because, you can do it in the comfort of sitting in a chair,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so that one
Yeah.
I
What's
busted. What's number two?
number two? Um, I don't have anything interesting to share. Interesting. I feel like as a business owner, like a coach, for example, this is, you know, a limiting belief that you must overcome, because think about how much stuff you have to share. Like you have
Yeah,
so much interesting stuff to share. If you didn't have a business and you were just sharing stuff about your life, okay, maybe. But if you're a coach, a hypnotist, a hypnotherapist, you've got more than enough content to
yeah.
start sharing today.
I think I think the way this one manifests in people is, and it's still the same limiting belief, but it's other people have already said everything that I have to say about my
Mm,
niche or my thing. Like if you're a hypnotherapist or a coach, well, there's so many great hypnotherapists and coaches on YouTube and Instagram. They've all said everything about the unconscious mind and all this stuff already. And the response to that is it does not matter. Your future clients need to hear it specifically from you,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody, myself included. We're all, I'm teaching social media now. There's a million other people who teach similar stuff to me, but my clients, my students want to hear it specifically from me because
Exactly.
they know me, they like me, they trust me, they like the way I deliver information, and they'd rather hear it from me than somebody else, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yes, you have interesting things to share, and no, it doesn't matter if somebody else has said it already. Your clients, your people need to hear it from you.
Exactly.
Boom. Number
Yeah.
three. Number three is only viral content is successful. Only viral content is successful, or only content that goes viral is going to equal revenue or profit for you on social media. This is a myth. This is a limiting belief. It's not true. You can make plenty of sales with very limited followers, very limited views, very limited reach on social media. As long as you're charging decent prices and you're reaching some people who actually want what you
Yeah.
have.
This is an interesting one because I saw a reel this woman put up. It was really funny. She ended up going viral with this one reel. Okay. Ended up getting like tons of new followers and everything. Anyway, then I ended up going to her account to be like, who is this person? Like, because this whole reel that she did went so viral. And she ended up doing a post about like a week later saying who she was and like what she does for a living and how this post went viral for her. And she got all these new followers. And she was like, and she's an artist actually. And she was like, going viral resulted in zero sales. Zip.
Yeah,
Nobody's interested in her artwork. It was completely just a fluke
yeah,
and a total vanity metric. Like she was like, this is so cool that I've got all these followers now, but it's not helping me whatsoever. So that just goes to show that, you could go viral and get all these amazing new followers, but doesn't mean they're going to translate into clients. You're better off speaking to your audience, engaging with them, right? Nurturing those relationships that are going to actually turn into clients, than like thinking about how can I create content that's going to go viral.
yeah, absolutely. So that's a great example, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
likewise, you and I both know lots of coaches who have very, very small following on social media, but are making lots of money serving
Totally.
people,
Yeah.
have a small audience, but an engaged
Yeah. That's more
audience.
important, right? You want to have that engaged audience over virality, I would say.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool.
all right. Number four is I need a huge following to make an impact. So that kind of rolls into what we were just talking about. right?
very closely related to the last one. We kind of addressed that one already. It's really not true. I personally know coach, or at least one coach who makes 8 figures a year. And up until recently, she had less than 1,000 followers on Instagram.
Mhm.
And I know many coaches who have a small following on social media, but it's an engaged following and they're highly profitable. So no
Yeah.
need for a big ton of followers.
Yeah.
Let's look at the next one, number 5. Social media is just a trend. Social media is
Still,
just a trend. Some people still think this. Oh, it's a fad. It's gonna pass by. I love the internet, but I don't need to use social media. Um, you know what? These days, the balance is tipped, and basically, if you're not on social media, you're not really on the internet.
yeah, I agree.
There's my bold statement. If you're not using social media, you're not really using the internet, right?
Yeah.
It's like getting on the highway with a bicycle. If you're not in a car, you're not really using the highway. You're just kind of there. And if you want to be discoverable and you want to have a presence online, a big, huge, probably the biggest part of that is having a presence on social media in 2023. And it's only going to be more so
Yeah.
as the years roll on. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not a trend. I
Definitely
mean,
not.
I would say that maybe the platforms trend, right? But
Um,
social
yeah,
media is here, and that's the way we communicate now.
I mean, there's staple platforms and then there's trend platforms.
Mhm.
And I think when a platform starts out, it starts out trendy and it either disappears or it becomes a staple,
Yeah.
right? Facebook and Instagram are staples of the internet now and for the foreseeable future. Can't say that that's going to be the case forever. TikTok started out as a trendy platform. It's become a staple, at
Yeah.
least for right now. LinkedIn is a staple.
Yeah.
Uh,
Twitter.
Snapchat. Snapchat for a while
Hmm.
was huge. It was a staple. Now it's become a niche platform
Hmm.
because it's because of Instagram. A lot of people forget kind of what happened to there, but it was because of Instagram that Snapchat lost some of their market share.
Yeah.
But social media, not a trend. It is a reality. It is part of humans' communication these days, and is a big part of the
Yeah.
way human beings communicate with one another.
Yeah.
Cool. What's the next one?
Number 6 is I don't have time for social media. Ooh, this one is a good one. This is a
That's a
good
good one.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have time to make sales. I don't have time for my business to be sustainable. I don't have time to take actions that will cause my future clients to be able to find me. That's what you're saying.
Basically, yeah. When someone says they don't have time for something, that just tells me it's not a priority.
Now, that's correct. They're saying it's not a priority. A couple of caveats here. You know, we're not so naive as to say there's only one way to do business, one way to be online, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of businesses out there, hyper successful and have very limited or zero social media presence because they, work on a referral network or they are doing really well with ads.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I would say most coaches, you don't have the luxury of ignoring social media unless you can honestly say you're getting all the clients and all the revenue that you need and want from other avenues and you want to ignore social media, sure. But I think for most people, that's a strategic mistake.
Yeah. I agree.
Cool.
Um,
So that one, I don't have time for social media. And by the way, you can nurture social media in 5 or 10 minutes a day.
yeah, like it doesn't have to be time consuming, right? And that's kind of what you talk a lot about in the simple social sanctuary. Um,
One of
you
my
know,
most successful master classes ever is where I taught people how to make a good quality reel for Instagram in 15 minutes.
yeah, yeah,
And you can do it over and over, right?
yeah. And the more you
That's
do it too, the less time it takes. Like, sure, everything takes more time when you're learning and you're just starting out or you're like, trying something new for the first time. It's going to feel kind of clunky, right? But the more you make it a habit and the more you decide, I'm the type of person who posts on Instagram or Facebook or whatever every single day, it just becomes part of your routine.
Becomes part of habit. Yeah. And, in this limiting belief, I don't have time for social media. It's very closely connected to the limiting belief that creating content takes a long time. It
Yeah.
can, but it does not need to. And that's one of the big, big, big lessons in the Simple Social Sanctuary is how can we have a high quality social media presence that is not time consuming? Because it very much is possible. And in my opinion, that's the only way to be sustainable is to have
Oh,
a
yeah.
decent quality social media presence that does not take you time and energy. If you're pumping out content that you love, but it's taking you forever, well, you can learn to pump out content that you love that does not take you forever.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
totally doable. Yeah, that's a big myth in the social media world that this stuff is hard, time consuming. You just got to learn how to do it once, you know,
Yeah.
learn how to use the platform and learn how to make the content, and then you're gold after that.
Yeah. Like I feel like out of all of the ones that we've talked about so far, this is probably the one that's like ding, 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 ding
This one's huge.
for people. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have
Um,
time for social media. Yeah, as Alana said, really what that means is one of two things or both. You're not making it a priority, or you just haven't taken the time to learn how to do social media quickly and efficiently yet. And
exactly. And it's almost like a cop out. Like you're just like, I don't have time equals like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm just going to say I don't have time for it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Boom. Hate mail coming in hot.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, send us your angry messages. Okay. Number 7. Oh, it's too late for me to start now. This is really closely related to number 1. I'm too old.
Yeah.
Too late for me to start now. Or like the ship has sailed, everybody's already established on social media, blah, blah, blah. Nonsense. You can start a social media account today and grow it and be successful.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. Social media is very forgiving. There's no such thing as being too late to the game. You get in there and get started. You can do it. There's a hurdle to overcome because you got to learn the platform and get over a little bit of inertia, but you can do it. There's no question about it.
Yeah. All right. Number 8 is I need to be on every platform. This is another really good limiting belief because you're really just putting up a roadblock, right? By saying, oh, I have to be on every platform. That's not true. Find a platform that you like and stick with that one. If
Yeah.
you're gonna try to create content and go on every platform, you're gonna spread yourself too thin. I think you need to find the one that works for you, the one that you enjoy consuming content on, and start there.
Yeah. The key for this one is, and I teach this as well, you need to have what's called a hub platform. So you need to pick one platform that's your favorite. And usually it's the one that you just enjoy using the most. And that's where you focus your energy and your attention on creating content.
Yeah.
And then you just repurpose the content from that platform out onto other platforms. Easy peasy. There's no need to make unique content for every individual platform, unless you really want to. Of course, you can. But yeah, you do, and you don't need to be on every platform. I would recommend being on at least like 2, but
Yeah.
make one of them your hub and just repurpose the stuff to the other one. For me, Instagram is my hub. That's my main platform. I'm also on Facebook. That's my second, and then TikTok and YouTube, and that's pretty much it. And I might have a presence here or there around others, but those are my main ones.
Yeah. Those are my main ones too. I'm not on TikTok, but my main one is Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, I do a lot of lip syncing videos on TikTok, a lot of those dancing, a lot of trend videos, except none of that. I don't do any of those things ever.
I was gonna say, what?
No, no.
This is
Okay.
new.
No, I just repost my reels from Instagram onto TikTok. Number 9, paid advertising is the only way to get visibility. That's definitely not true. Fourth year in a row, earning 6 figures without paid advertising, just from social media over
Mhm.
here, and lots of people like that. Paid ads can help, sure, but definitely not necessary.
No, not necessary.
Yeah.
Number 10, negative comments or reviews will ruin my business. Oh, I like this one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. A lot of people are like, not just negative content or reviews, like a lot of the big apprehension or the fear or the unconscious hesitation to be on social media is just, you're putting yourself out there, and there could be negative reviews, mean comments, criticism, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think this is a big one, especially for people who are maybe transitioning into coaching and haven't really. It's almost like a persona shift for them, because up until this point, maybe they haven't been coaching, and this is a new business for them, and so they're kind of like changing their online presence to be that of a coach.
yeah,
And so there's a lot of limiting beliefs or fears around, well, what are people going to think? What are my former colleagues going to think? What are people like my friends from high school going to think if all of a sudden I'm talking about coaching and, putting this stuff out there? And to that, I'm like, who cares what they have to say? Like, they're not your clients, your old friends from high school and your former colleagues might be your clients, but, you're you're not going out there to please them, and like, who cares what they think? Which, is kind of a hard pill to swallow, because you might really care, but then that just tells you that you have some work to do
yeah,
around what people think of you.
yeah, yeah. This is definitely one that everybody needs to overcome. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Unapologetically and immediately block anybody that's mean to you on social media. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to tolerate it. And
Yeah.
you teach the platform who to show your stuff to. If every time you have a negative or perceived negative interaction with somebody on social media, you just immediately block them, you're slowly but surely programming the platform to stop sending you those people. A lot of people don't realize this. And you know, what you resist persists. Well, not only does the law of attraction make sure that happens, whether you believe in that or not, but social media algorithms really make sure that happens. If you spend all kinds of time arguing with people about politics in comment sections, oh, those algorithms are going to send you what you engage with,
Yeah.
and lots of it, right?
Yeah.
So, food for thought. Food for thought. You know what? 99% of the people that I interact with on social media are an absolute delight. And
Hmm.
it's because that's who I choose to engage with, and that's what I get more of.
Yeah.
You know?
That's all it takes.
Yeah. What can I say? I tell you. Number next is 11. My product service doesn't translate well to visuals. Oh, that's such a good limiting
Mm.
belief. This list is so good. Yeah, that's definitely not true. It's definitely not true. Even if, like, I mean, think about musicians. Like, a musician produces a product that is a very, very, very auditory experience. And you're saying they can't be on Instagram? There's
Yeah.
always visuals, right? The images of them on stage, the images of them in the recording studio, the music videos, right? Food, it's a gustatory product. Visuals still highly important. There,
Yeah.
there's no product or service that won't have something that can be documented and put on whatever social media platform you are into, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And when in doubt, just post a selfie.
yeah. Just make yourself the star of the show. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, and I think this limiting belief, you need to shift your mindset to be like more of a producer. You know what I mean? Like, so start when you're just wandering around, or going for a walk in the morning, or, out and about, like, be open to finding visuals that you would maybe want to put in your social media. This is something that I did kind of like early on, because I had this limiting belief, because I used to have an online fabric store. So for me, the visual was easy. It was fabric. Like, I would take photos of different bundles of fabric and the different patterns and everything. But then when I got into coaching, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to take pictures of? And I just shifted my mindset to be that of like a creative director, producer, where I would just be out, wandering around, and I'd be like, ooh, this would be a good visual for like a coaching thing. Or I would maybe see like graffiti or something like that, or like a message someone had written on a wall. And I'd be like, oh, that's a good thing. So shift your mindset into that. And then all
yeah,
of a sudden you're going to see visuals everywhere that you can use.
yeah,
Like even a mug, like this mug I have says self love. Like, that could be a visual, right?
Yeah.
Um, so many things. So just
Yeah.
you got to like open your mind, is what I'm saying.
Cool. What's the next one?
Next one is
Bang off these last few.
ROI from social media is too hard to measure. So return on investment from social media is too hard to measure. I mean, okay, sure. But you can look at your analytics. You can, look at how many people are DMing you. You can look at like how many clients are you booking through your social media. There's all kinds of ways to figure out or measure
Yeah. So
how
this,
how well it's working for you.
yeah, this limiting belief points directly to just a little bit of ignorance around a sales process. Because if you know what your sales process is, like first people follow me on social media, and then we talk in the DMs, and then I have a sales call, and then I offer them my service. If you know really well what your sales process is, you can really easily track how many people have engaged with your content on social media, how many conversations in the DMs have you had, how many of those people have gone on to have a call with you, and of those calls, how many people have invested in your service. Tracking ROI on social media, absolutely no different than tracking it in any other context. And if it feels like it's different, then you just got to kind of learn a little bit more about your particular sales process and what your measurables are, or your
Yeah.
KPIs, if you will, key performance
Key
indicators.
performance indicators. Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. And the other thing too is when you do meet with someone new or someone reaches out to you, ask them, how did you find out about me? That's the first thing I ask people whenever they like message me or something like that. Um, because then that's also data,
yeah,
right? Number 13, I should only share polished professional content. That's
yeah,
another good one. Also not true. Also ties into the whole like I don't have time, because
yeah,
if you're like Mr. or Mrs. Perfectionist, um then yeah, you're not going to have time, and you're going to be spending so much time creating like the most perfect post, right? And then it's on to the next. Like you have to really think about social media as like something that you're kind of slapping up there and it's on to the next. When you think about how much content gets published every single day and how much like people are consuming it, when you think of it from that perspective, like you don't even really want to spend a lot of time on it, because you're just like, I'm going to put it up there and it's going to be gone in like 5 minutes, right? Into the ether of content land. So you're not publishing a novel that's going to be sitting on a shelf for years to come, right? You're just putting something up there to be like, hi, I'm here, I exist. And that's
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, this one is very, very pervasive and very wrong. Like aiming for perfection in your
Yeah,
social media content, like you want to aim for decent quality, sure,
for
but
sure.
you really, there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to investing time in creating content. And like the difference between having a piece of content that's a 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 could be an hour or more of work, right? Like
Yeah,
you really need to aim for that 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 level of quality for your content, because otherwise you're just most likely not sustainable in your efforts. And
yeah,
there's very few mediums where perfection is required. Like some of the most successful television commercials ever are like the ones by the local mattress store, where it's just like just film their, staff doing some cheesy skit. And people love it because it's genuine, it's real. It gives you a
yeah.
peek into the personality of the people that are running the business, right?
Mhm.
And you really got to capitalize on that, genuine, authentic, even a little bit rough around the edges vibe.
Yeah,
And you know, and you'll get better, right? Pump out decent quality content. And before you know it, you won't be spending any more time on content, but the quality will be getting better and better.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you always say? You always say done is better than perfect,
Yeah.
right?
Done is better than, waiting for perfection that never comes, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Number 14, you
Number
take that.
14.
You take that one.
Social media is just for business to consumer businesses. Business to business companies can also effectively utilize social media, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so basically the limiting belief here is like only certain types of businesses can be successful on social media. Balderdash, anybody who has a product or service or opinion or idea to offer can be successful in disseminating that information on social media. So if you're a coach, you're technically a B2C, a business to consumer business, which is a fancy way of saying you're a business entity that offers a service to individuals, basically.
Yeah.
I think social media is ideal for that, but I think big businesses, medium businesses, everybody is welcome and everybody can thrive on
Yeah.
social media.
Well, and even if you're in a business to business, you're still like you're still communicating with a person in the other business.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? So
that's
it's
the
like,
thing. At the end of the day, if it's business to business, buying decisions are still made by human beings. And the
exactly.
people making those buying decisions, even if they're investing in a service from another business, they want that service to come via a person who they want to deal with, right?
Yeah.
That's why salespeople are routinely the highest paid people around. There's a lot of salespeople who, sell just normal everyday goods and make more money than the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies because they're the human face of the product and they're basically the pipeline for profit.
Yeah.
Anyway, a little off track there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't think this one's going to be a huge issue for people, but
No, I don't think so either.
the
Because we're
counterpoint,
mostly speaking to like coaches
the
here, but
coaches, the
um
counterpoint here is everybody has a place on social media.
yeah,
Everyone.
yeah.
Okay. Number
Last
last
one.
is 15. I can't compete with bigger brands on social media. And this really is like with coaches, it's like, oh, what about these coaches that have 1 million followers? What about these coaches who have been around forever? Um, it's really not a problem. It's really not a problem because there's so many people out there, so many clients, and a lot of them don't care how many followers you have. What they care about is making a connection with somebody who they trust. And there's a lot of clients out there who specifically do not want to work with a coach who has 1 million followers because they
Yeah.
don't want to feel like just another number in the crowd. They want the dedicated attention of somebody who has a smaller audience. And so there's
Yeah.
clients for everybody, big audience, small audience. Don't worry about the competition. If you offer a valuable service and you're able to connect with people, do it.
Yeah, I agree. And you're really not competing with those bigger brands. Like you're not competing with like the Tony Robbins or the, Mel Robbins or you know what I mean? Like all those bigger brands
Yeah.
because they're in a different kind of like category than you as like,
It's a total once somebody has that like sort of like celebrity coach status, the product that they're offering is distinctly different.
Yeah.
And the coaches with a smaller audience. It must be. It has to be. And I've worked with both. I've worked with coaches who have very small audiences. I've worked with coaches with medium, large audiences. And I've worked with coaches who are in the top 1% of coaches in the world. And it's a very different experience with all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And not necessarily that any of them are better or worse than the others. It's just different products, different experiences. And so this is one that, if this is something that worries you, you can't compete with other bigger brands or coaches on social media, put that old limiting belief away because it's really not true.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Done. So how's everyone feeling? I wish I wish at this point we could like see the listeners to be like feeling good.
You
Or
can't
that
see them.
these
I can
no.
have them all on my screen right now, live view through their smartphones, hidden camera in the car dashboard, hundreds of faces here. Like that scene in Batman where you can hear everybody's voice in the city. Like
Mm.
I
Oh,
can
yeah.
see through the magic of technology. I bet there's like one person listening who's like, really? He can see us? He can see. Anyway, no, I can't see you. I can't see you. I promise.
Yeah, no, I can't see anybody either, but I imagine that we've, maybe ruffled some feathers
Ruffled the feathers.
with this list.
There was one person who saw that story that I put on Instagram and sent me a message and was like, yeah, tell him, Ryan.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And if you need help with these limiting beliefs, you can message me anytime you want and we can do a hypnosis.
Yeah. Message Alana Banks. She's good
Yeah.
at that stuff.
I'm
Yeah.
really good at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want the training such that these limiting beliefs no longer matter, because you know what you're doing on social media, then come to the Simple Social Sanctuary.
Hmm. Yeah. Sign up. It's good. I'm in there.
Yeah, there's a link in my bio on Instagram at Ryan Montes NLP. Alana Banks is in there. Get your palm read by Alana Banks.
Yeah.
Alana Banks.
Please send me a message. I love reading palms.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not fortune telling.
No, it's not.
It's palm reading. It's different.
Palm reading. It's actually palm analysis.
Palm analysis.
Yeah. That's what I've been kind of calling it.
Palm
Because I
all.
think when people hear palm reading, they think like fortune telling, right?
Yeah.
Psychics.
Not that.
But it's not that. It's really like an analysis of your character traits, where you've come from, where you're going. Limiting beliefs actually come up in the palms. Yeah, lots to learn.
Palm. Palms. Palmy palms. Palms. Cool. I think that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
See you next time. Or no, speak to you next time.
Yeah. Bye.